Ey, Titi me preguntó si tengo muchas novias. Muchas novias.
Alright, to start with, I'm going to measure my corn. I'm going to prepare about 10 pounds, which is equivalent to roughly 16 and a half cups.
Otra. Me la voy a llevar a toa pa' un VIP, ey. Saluden a Titi, vamos a tirarnos un selfie. Say cheese, ey, que sonrían las que ya les metí.
Alright, now that we have our measured corn, the next step is to go through and visually inspect the kernels to make sure there's no moldy, broken, or otherwise unfit to consume kernels in the mix. Because these are direct from a farm, it's also possible that you see little pieces of stone and other fragments that you just don't want to consume. Alright, so now that I've finished looking through the kernels, the next step is to just pre-rinse the corn. And this helps remove any dust or debris. You can see my hands have already got a nice amount of dust on them just from sorting through it. So I'm going to take it to the sink and give it a few rinses of water. Next, we're going to be using our pickling lime, otherwise known as slaked lime or calcium hydroxide. And this is the core component to the reaction that we're observing. To get the correct combination of corn to lime, you want to use approximately 1% of the weight of your corn. So since I'm using 10 pounds of corn, that comes out to roughly 45 grams of lime. So I've got my scale here, and I'm going to start measuring that out. Now that I've finished measuring out my calcium hydroxide, next I'm just going to pour it evenly over the corn in our pot. Next, I've got more warm water here, and you want to add warm water to the pot until it's about 2 inches over the level of the corn. And here we go. This is our last cup of water. You'll notice that the liquid has taken on a sort of milky look to it, and that's because the calcium hydroxide isn't actually especially water soluble, so it creates a sort of milky look to the water. You also want to be really careful with which pot you end up using. I'm using a ceramic coated pot here, but you want to avoid standard iron or even some certain grades of stainless steel, because the calcium hydroxide can be quite caustic in nature and it can break down certain types of pot. I'm going to put this on high heat, and all we want to do right now is we're going to bring it to a boil. And once we bring it to a boil, we'll let it simmer for 30 minutes to an hour. And what we're going to start looking for is whether or not the pericarp, which is the outside layer of the corn kernel, slips off of the kernels easily. And once we've noticed that, then we'll let it sit and steep overnight. So I put it on high heat, and I'm going to take the lid, and I'm just going to let that cook for a while.
Alright, so it is now the day after, and this has steeped overnight, and, you know, probably a good 8 hours while I was in school today as well. Let's take a look. Ooh, look at that corn. You can see it's taken on a nice sort of almost gummy texture on the outside. It's absorbed pretty much all of the water in the corn, and that's to be expected. And if I take a kernel here and I split it open, we look at the inside and see how the pericarp comes off really quite easily. It's beautiful. It's done exactly what we want. And we'll be able to take this corn, and you can either grind it, and it would immediately become masa for making tortillas, tamales, basically anything in that vein. Or we could use the whole kernels fresh, and we could put them in something like a soup like pozole. Either way, I know they're going to be delicious. They already have this really, it's hard to describe any other way than just corn sort of smell to them. But it smells really good. It's like sweet and grassy and a little bit. It's just so fresh and sort of nutty. Can't wait to try it.
Sorry, yo soy así, ya, no quiero ser así, no.